Welcome to the Guiding Light 911 YouTube channel. Today, we're going deep into the Alcoholics Anonymous 12 Steps with the help of a Guiding Light Workbook. This workbook really jumped out at me because it goes beyond just listing out the steps. It's full of these personal reflection exercises, almost like you have a coach right there with you. What's really interesting here is how the workbook frames each step, starting right off the bat with this idea of powerlessness. It's not just saying, okay, I have a problem with drinking. It's more like acknowledging that you're in a whole different category. You're not like other people who can moderate. It's like realizing, okay, this isn't just a bad habit. This thing has a grip on me. And the workbook really drives that home. With all these questions about how your life's become unmanageable because of alcohol. That hit hard for me because it's so relatable. That's a classic example of how unmanageability kind of creeps into everyday life. And for a lot of people, it's a real wake-up call. But then you get to step 2, and this is where it gets tricky for some folks. That whole belief in a higher power thing. I can see that if you're not religious, that step can feel like a total roadblock. But the workbook doesn't force a specific God on you. They actually ask you to define what insanity means in relation to your drinking. If I keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, maybe that is insanity. They even give this example of insane thinking. I thought that the next time I drank, I wouldn't end up in a blackout. How many of us have been there? Thinking, this time will be different, only to end up right back in the same cycle. It's that cycle that really highlights the need for step 3. Turning over your will and your life to a higher power, whatever that looks like for you. But how do you even begin to do that? The workbook really dives into that. They emphasize that step 4 is the first of the action steps. You're moving beyond just admitting there's a problem. They ask if your understanding of God includes a loving and caring aspect, which I think is so crucial because it really reframes the idea of surrendering. It's not about giving up control to some harsh judge. It's about connecting with something larger than yourself that can actually help you. And that's where that 3rd step prayer comes in, which the workbook provides. It's such a powerful expression of just letting go and asking for help. But then after this surrender, it's time to get real with ourselves in step 4, that searching and fearless moral inventory. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's not just about making a list of your screw-ups. It's about getting brutally honest with yourself, about those deep-seated flaws that might be fueling your drinking. You know how sometimes we blame everyone else when things go wrong? Well, step 4 is about looking in the mirror and saying, okay, what's my part in this mess? It's about owning your stuff, even if it's painful. And the workbook really emphasizes the importance of writing everything down, getting it out of your head and onto paper. They even suggest listing your positive qualities too, which I thought was interesting. Why do you think that is? I think it's about balance. It's so easy to get caught up in all our shortcomings, but recognizing our strengths can be incredibly empowering. It reminds us that we're not just a collection of our mistakes. We have good qualities too, even if they've been kind of buried under the weight of our addiction. You've done this deep dive into your own character, the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's next? Step 5 seems even more intense, admitting those wrongs to God, to yourself, and to another human being. This step is all about facing the music, but there's incredible wisdom in how the workbook approaches it. They really emphasize the importance of understanding our own part in resentments. Going beyond just listing our grievances. Okay, maybe someone wronged you, but did you play any role in that situation? Did you contribute to that dynamic in any way? It's taking responsibility to a whole other level. And they're careful to point out the need for trust here. You don't just spill your guts to anyone. You choose someone safe, someone who can hold that space for you without judgment. It's about finding that confidant, someone who can be a witness to your honesty without trying to fix you or shame you. And if you're listening to this and thinking, wow, this is getting heavy, I just want to remind you that the A Guiding Light Workbook really walks you through all of this. It's like having a guide on your journey, offering prompts and questions to help you go deeper. If you're finding this topic helpful, imagine what you could uncover with the full workbook. It's available on Amazon, and we'll make sure you have that link. Now let's dive into the next set of steps, steps 6 and 7. This is where the focus shifts from internal reflection to outward action. Step 6 is all about becoming entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character that you've been uncovering. It's a big step because it requires admitting that we can't fix ourselves on our own. We need help, whether that's from a higher power, the fellowship, or a combination of both. You've made this list of your flaws, your failings, those pesky character defects that keep tripping you up. What do you do with them? Step 7 says to humbly ask God to remove them. It's about surrendering those things we can't control, acknowledging that we need guidance and support to become better versions of ourselves. And the workbook doesn't just say ask. It encourages you to really list those imperfections, those weaknesses you want to let go of. It's like you're handing them over saying, okay, I'm done with this. I need help. It's a powerful act of surrender, and it leads perfectly into step 8, which is where the real work begins. You know now you're ready to make things right, to start repairing the damage you've done. We're talking about making amends. Step 8 is where you make that list of everyone you've harmed and become willing to make it up to them. But it's not just about rattling off a list of names. It's about digging deeper and understanding the impact your actions have had on others. The workbook prompts you to be specific about the nature of the harm, which can be really eye-opening. I didn't realize how much my drinking affected that person. It's about owning the consequences, no matter how uncomfortable they may be. But the workbook is also really careful to emphasize the importance of willingness. It's not about forcing yourself to make amends if doing so would cause more harm. There are definitely situations where making direct amends might not be the best course of action. Maybe it would re-traumatize the other person or put them in an unsafe situation. The key here is to be open to the possibility to cultivate that willingness to make things right, even if it looks different than you initially imagined. You've done the internal work, you've made the list, and you're willing to make amends. Now what? Step 9 seems pretty straightforward. Actually go out and make those amends wherever possible. That's the gist of it. But again, the workbook encourages you to proceed with caution and wisdom. Sometimes the best amends you can make are to simply change your behavior moving forward. It's about proving through your actions that you're a different person now, that you've learned from your mistakes. It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And that seamlessly brings us to step 10, which is all about keeping that momentum going. It's not a one-and-done deal. You got to stay vigilant and keep doing the work. Step 10 is about integrating the principles of the 12 steps into your everyday life. You continue to take personal inventory. You promptly admit when you're wrong, and you make amends as needed. It's a cycle of self-reflection and course correction that helps you stay on track. You're not striving for perfection, but rather for progress. It's about acknowledging that you'll mess up sometimes, but you have the tools to get back on track. And I love how the workbook encourages you to actually write down any recent instances where you were wrong. It's a way to hold yourself accountable and to keep learning from your experiences. It's like having that journal where you can track your progress and identify patterns in your behavior. It's a powerful tool for growth. And speaking of growth, step 11 takes things to a whole new level. This is where you start deepening your connection with your higher power through prayer and meditation. This step might seem intimidating to some people, especially if they haven't had much experience with prayer or meditation. But the workbook presents it in a really accessible way. It's not about chanting mantras or sitting in lotus pose for hours on end. It's about finding what works for you, whether that's simply taking a few moments each day to quiet your mind, connect with nature, or engage in a conversation with your higher power. Whatever that looks like for you. The key is to make it a regular practice, a way to nourish your spirit and stay connected to something larger than yourself. The workbook even asks a really powerful question here. As far as you know, what is God's will for you? It's like an invitation to reflect on your purpose in life, to consider what you're here to do. And then it goes a step further and asks if you're ready to ask for the power to carry that out. It's about acknowledging that you can't do it alone, that you need help to fulfill your potential. And then the final question in step 11 is, are you ready to carry that out? It's a call to action, a reminder that faith without works is dead. You have to put what you've learned into practice. And that brings us to step 12, the culmination of this incredible journey. It's about carrying the message to other alcoholics and practicing these principles in all your affairs. It's about giving back, about sharing what you've learned with others who are struggling. The workbook even defines a spiritual awakening as the process of achieving emotional sobriety. It's not just about staying sober from alcohol. It's about embracing a whole new way of life, one that's grounded in spiritual principles and a commitment to helping others. It's about paying it forward, about recognizing that your recovery is not just about you, it's about being of service to others. And the workbook offers some really practical examples of how to do that. It doesn't have to be some big formal thing. It can be as simple as making coffee in a meeting or offering a ride to someone who needs it. It's about finding ways to contribute to the community, to be a supportive presence for those who are just starting out. It's about recognizing that you're all in this together. And I love how the workbook emphasizes that this is an ongoing process. It's not like you reach step 12 and you're done. It's about continuing to grow, to learn, and to be of service. It's about living a life of purpose and meaning. You know what's really striking about this workbook? Is how it emphasizes the importance of carrying these principles into all areas of your life, not just in relation to alcohol. It's about applying what you've learned to your relationships, your work, your interactions with the world. It's about becoming the best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. And I think that's what makes this workbook so powerful. It's not just about recovering from addiction. It's about living a life of integrity, purpose, and connection. And if you're feeling inspired to embark on this journey yourself, we encourage you to check out the full book. The Guiding Light Workbook is available on Amazon, and it's a truly transformative resource that can help you unlock your full potential. It's a guide, a companion, a toolbox for creating a life you love. But the workbook isn't just about providing information, it's also about creating a community. And one way they do that is by asking for feedback. At the end of the workbook, they specifically ask for feedback. They encourage readers to leave reviews on Amazon, sharing which step they found most helpful and what challenges they faced along the way. It shows that they're not just putting information out there into the void. They genuinely want to know what's resonating with people, what's working, and what could be improved. They're really invested in this process. They're in it for the long haul. It's a testament to their commitment to creating resources that truly serve the recovery community. And speaking of community, one of the most powerful aspects of the workbook is its emphasis on carrying the message. It reminds us that recovery is not a solo mission. It's about connecting with others and offering support. It's like you're saying, okay, you've done all this internal work. You started making things right. Now it's time to share what you've learned with others who are still struggling. And it doesn't have to be some big formal thing. The workbook even suggests simple acts of service, making coffee at a meeting, or offering a ride to someone who needs it. It's about being present, being helpful, being a part of the solution. And in doing so, you not only help others, but you also solidify your own recovery. It's a beautiful cycle of giving and receiving. I'm struck by the workbook's mission statement. They say their goal is to offer guidance-inspired products to individuals all across the globe who are eager to enhance their lives, surroundings, and experiences. And I think that really sums up the essence of the 12 steps, doesn't it? It's not just about getting sober, it's about living a better life, a more fulfilling life. It's about transforming yourself from the inside out and then using that transformation to make a positive impact on the world around you. It's a ripple effect, and it all starts with taking that first step, that first courageous step toward recovery. And if you're feeling inspired to take that step, To explore the 12 steps in a deeper way, we highly recommend checking out the Guiding Light Workbook. You can find it on Amazon, and we'll be sure to include a link in the description below. It's a truly remarkable resource, packed with insights, guidance, and practical tools that can help you navigate the challenges and triumphs of recovery. It's like having a wise and compassionate friend by your side, guiding you every step of the way. It's a journey worth taking, a journey that can lead you to a life of freedom and joy. And now we come to the end of another insightful and inspiring episode of the Guiding Light 911 YouTube channel. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to continue your own journey of growth and transformation. Don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. Remember, you are not alone. There's a whole community of people out there who understand what you're going through and are ready to support you. Until next time, take care and keep shining your light. And remember, you are not alone.